Harambe YouTube. Tomorrow is the best time of the week, New Comic Book Day for September 3rd, 2025. And I'm going to give you some more of my recommendations of comic books that will be in store for New Comic Book Day. Check them out. And this list is a compilation of stuff that I am personally reading, stuff that I see as notable that I may not be reading, and different things going on. Give you a wide array of options when you go to your local comic book store or go to shop online. One thing I always say is that if you think that comics aren't for you, it's because you haven't found your comic yet. There's a comic for everybody in every genre, and often, like in the case this week, featuring properties that you may not have known have had comic book universes, such as Star Trek and Walking Dead. And those are going to be among a couple of my recommendations. To get started with, let's talk about some that are out that I highly suggest, that I really enjoy. Exquisite Corpses, I believe we're on number 4. This is from Image Comics. A very, very good book. I am a huge Conan fan. This came out a couple of weeks ago, Conan the Barbarian, number 23. If you can get number 21 through 23, that's again this new arc. Trust me, it's very good stuff, especially if you like action and adventure. And my other recommendation for stuff that's out, Dark Honor from Image Comics. It is a gangland story set during the pandemic, 2021, about this fight to control organized crime in New York City. Very creative stuff, so let's get into what's coming out this week and what I think is notable and what I'm getting. First, start off talking about Green Lantern, Absolute Green Lantern, number 6. Part of the new DC Absolute Universe, where they take familiar characters and kind of reset them in this own Absolute Universe. I have been reading Absolute Green Lantern, Absolute Superman, and Absolute Wonder Woman. I enjoy all 3 titles, but right now, Absolute Superman and Absolute Green Lantern are tied for the top 2 of this universe. There's also Absolute Batman, which has been critically acclaimed. I read the first issue, and with all the other books that I read, it really didn't pique my interest as much as these other titles have. And sticking with DC Comics, we have Absolute Superman, number 11. Another one in this absolute universe. Really enjoy it. Kind of resets Superman. He doesn't come to Earth as a infant, but as a young adult, escaping Krypton, where his family was a part of the lower caste, and he fights for the oppressed against Lazarus Corp. The next book, I don't think I ordered this one, but it is definitely noticeable. A brand new title, a brand new number 1 from DC Comics, Adventures of Superman, Book of El, number 1. So if you're a Superman fan and you want to, get caught up on some new lore, a new story, you can't beat a brand new number 1. So there's that from DC Comics, Adventures of Superman, Book of El. And then sticking with Batman, the universe is finally resetting. This is announced back, I believe, in February, that they're going to be resetting things, and starting with Batman number 1. I already got mine in the mail. I got one of the special alternate covers I'm really excited about. And I'm interested to see where this goes. I was a pretty consistent Batman reader. I'd say maybe around the early hundreds to 120, but then it kind of lost me around the time that they started the All In initiative. And I've dipped in and out, but I'm excited to get a new continuity and a new reset and a fresh start in the Batman universe. Hopefully it'll be something that can keep my attention. And again, it's a number 1 issue, so that's going to have a little bit of extra value to it. Not that I collect for value, but that's one thing to look for, to look for. I love number 1 issues because of that novelty, especially if you can get it at the first print. Now, this next one is one of those bigger properties I was talking about. Star Trek Red Shirts, number 2. This is about the security team of Star Trek and the on what they go through and the pitfalls that come with being Star Trek security, and the grim reality that is being a Star Trek red shirt. I really enjoyed number 1. It's brutal, but not over the top, and it's consistent with the Star Trek universe, which I really enjoy. That's by IDW, and I am not the biggest Trekkie. I've watched a few of the different series, but as far as I've seen, being a casual Star Trek fan, this is true to the Star Trek universe as I've experienced it. Next, we have an oldie but a goodie, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 320. This is the continuous series that has been going on since 1984, and we are 320 issues in. This is from Image Comics. I am really enjoying this series. It's a lot of, with that much history, you have a lot of sources of storytelling to draw from. And the thing that I really like about the G.I. Joe Real American Hero series is that not only do you have an A plot, a B plot, and a C plot, but also a D plot. And you usually have something that's kind of been hinted at or started, but is running in the background. You know, they have such a huge cast of characters, and they give them all something to do. And it can be a little bit overwhelming if you're trying to keep track of everything, but it's always exciting for that reason. And then we have a new book from Maria Lovett. I am not the biggest Maria Lovett fan. I've read 2 of her books. I really enjoyed them both. I read Luna. I read All the Things We Didn't Do Last Night. And my friend Mary, my comic book buddy, who you may have seen in my Spellbound Apothecary shopping videos, she's a real big fan of Maria Lovett, so I got this one for her. It is called Artificial. It's from Image Comics, and it's really hard to describe her style. Like, you know, she's the artist and the writer, so that's, you know, not typical from my experience. But with her books, she has a style, so I can't put my finger on it, but I know it when I see it. And top tier stuff is just not my main go-to. And then also from Image, Sam and Twitch, Case Files, number 17. I enjoy this really because I love anything Spawn Universe. And what Sam and Twitch Case Files does is it takes these long-standing characters, side characters, the detectives, and it shows the Spawn Universe from their perspective. It's more of a gritty police story than a supernatural Spawn story. And I have been aboard for 17 issues, and I'm loving every one. And it looks like the story arc is wrapping up. And then we have Tin Can Society number 8. I really enjoy this because it features a cast of disabled characters who are kind of thrust into the world of being superheroes. And, it has elements of Iron Man and Batman and these familiar tropes along with the reality of being disabled. And so you get a little bit of the extraordinary with the brutally ordinary. Really enjoyed that. And then, for you Walking Dead fans, I'm not a big fan of The Walking Dead. I read a couple of comics from them and they're high quality. I'm just not really big into that lore, but I know it was a major TV show, very popular, and there are lots of Walking Dead fans out there. And if you can't get enough of the Walking Dead universe, yes, there is a comic book. And number 120 is dropping on the 3rd, so get to the comic book store and check that out if you're a fan of The Walking Dead. And my last suggestion would be The War, number 2, from Boom Comics. It originally started out in their compilation series called, what is that compilation series called? Hello Darkness. It's a horror compilation series. And the first act of the first book actually was part of issue number 1, and then they spun it out to a bigger story. It's haunting in the way that it takes the very real thing that's happening in Ukraine and Russia, and it plays it out to its worst possible conclusions. and it creates a horror story that is really grounded in shocking reality. For one, it's a great looking book. Boom Studio, they always put out quality. It's well written, and the stories and the characters really stick with you. And so that's, my suggestions for this new comic book day. Get out there, check out your local comic book store. If you don't have a local comic book store, I always suggest my friend Jeff at Coffee and a Comic, coffeeandacomic.com. They give you complimentary coffee with every order. They ship nationwide. They have the second easiest to use website I personally found as far as getting new comic books. You can also check out midtowncomics.com. They're going to have, you're not going to have to worry about missing anything. They're going to have everything in stock. The prices are slightly lower. The downside is, unless you want to pay just a little bit more for shipping, the shipping is slow. But they are consistent and the prices are a tad lower. So it depends on what you want, but those are some resources that you can use to get your hands on some comic books, expand your collection, get your toe into the hobby, see if it's something for you. Anyway, you guys, be easy outside. I'll see you next time. Until then, keep reading them books. I'm out.